Alex, I've spent 30 years convincing wood and metal to do what I want. They're stubborn, but they're predictable. You cut a board, it stays cut. You weld a seam, it's fused. But I recently decided to invite a ball of wet earth into the shop, and let me tell you, it's like trying to negotiate with a toddler who has a physics degree.
I noticed. Is that why there's a new abstract art splash pattern on the back of your drill press? It looks like a mud fight broke out while I was gone.
That's evidence of my first encounter with a pottery wheel. I thought, how hard can it be? It's just centering. Well, it turns out if you're off by a hair, that clay has a mind of its own. It'll climb up your arm and decorate your ceiling before you can even say, oops.
Well, you've piqued the interest of the Tiger Den community. We've been getting a ton of questions about bringing ceramics into a makerspace. It seems like the natural next step for people who move between wood and metal. But for someone like me, who views earth as something I try to keep out of my carpets, where do we actually start?
It's a foreign language at first. You've got your earthenware, your stoneware, and your porcelain. Think of them like wood species. Earthenware is your pine. It's easygoing, fires at lower temperatures, and it's a bit porous. You can't just toss it in a dishwasher and expect it to survive. Then you've got stoneware, which is the white oak of the clay world. It's tough, it sits in that middle temperature range, and once it's fired, it'll handle a microwave like a champ.
And porcelain? Let me guess. That's the exotic figured maple that costs a fortune and breaks your heart?
Exactly, it's finicky, expensive, and it wants things just so. Most hobby kilns won't even get hot enough to make porcelain happy. If you're just starting to get your hands dirty, stoneware is the sweet spot. It's forgiving, and it comes in these beautiful buff or speckled colors that look like they belong in a mountain cabin.
I saw you doing that weird palm mashing thing with the clay earlier. It looked like you were trying to resuscitate a giant marshmallow. What's the deal with that?
That's wedging. It's the prep work nobody wants to do, but everyone regrets skipping. If you got a tiny air bubble trapped in that clay and you put it in a kiln, that air expands. Boom. You've just turned your beautiful vase into a ceramic grenade that'll take out every other piece in the kiln.
Wait, so if I mess up the prep, I'm basically building a slow-motion firework?
Pretty much. You're pushing the air out and aligning the particles. It's like grain direction in wood. If the internal structure is a mess, the final piece will warp or crack when the moisture leaves it.
Okay, so we wedge it. Then what? I've seen the videos. The wheel looks therapeutic until the clay turns into a pancake. Is the wheel the only way to go?
Not at all. That's the pro move that takes a lot of hours to master. If you're just dipping your toes in, hand building is where the real fun is. You can roll out slabs like you're making a pizza crust and fold them into cylinders. Or you can do coil building, basically making long snakes of clay and stacking them.
Like second grade art class?
Hey, don't knock the classics. Some of the most high-end galleries in the world sell coil-built pots. It's about the soul of the piece. But if you want that perfectly symmetrical mug, the wheel is the tool. It's all about the slurry, that wet, slippery mix of clay and water. You have to keep a sponge in one hand to keep the clay lubricated. If it gets dry, it grabs your skin, and that's when the pancake happens.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the kiln. My workshop is already full of things that can set my hair on fire. Do I really need a 1,000-degree oven?
If you want stuff you can actually drink out of, yeah, you can mess around with air-dry clay for ornaments, but for real pottery, you need the transformation. I picked up a used kiln sitter model for about $150. It's small enough to plug into a standard outlet, which is a massive win for a home shop.
150? That's cheaper than my last cordless drill.
Well, mine was a find. You just have to look for something that's been sitting in a garage. Most people buy them with big dreams and then realize that pottery involves getting mud on their shoes. But here's the thing. Firing is 2 stages. First, you do the bisque fire. That turns the clay into a ceramic stone that's still porous enough to soak up glaze.
And the glaze is the magic part, right? That's where you get those deep blues and earthy browns I'm seeing on your desk?
It's the most stressful chemistry project you'll ever love. You dip the piece in what looks like gray milk, and you have no idea if it's going to come out looking like a sapphire or a puddle of mud. It depends on the temperature, the thickness, even the humidity that day.
So basically, it's a gambling addiction for makers.
It really is. You open that kiln door like it's Christmas morning, hoping you didn't accidentally fuse your mug to the shelf.
Did you fuse a mug to the shelf?
Sir, twice. I neglected to leave a wax resist at the bottom. Glaze is essentially liquid glass. If it runs down the side and touches the kiln shelf, it's a permanent marriage. I had to use a hammer and a prayer to get it off. I ended up with a very artistic-looking ceramic shrapnel.
Okay, let's get practical for a minute. If someone is listening and they have a small workbench in their garage, what's the first real project you'd suggest?
Start with a simple bowl. It teaches you the basics of opening up the clay and pulling the walls. You don't have to worry about handles yet. Handles are a whole different level of torture. Just aim for a consistent thickness. If the bottom is an inch thick and the rim is paper thin, it's going to crack while drying like a desert floor.
And what about the tools? I've seen those kits with the wire cutters and the wooden ribs. Do I need the fancy stuff?
You can do almost everything with a sponge, a piece of wire, and your fingers. A wooden rib helps smooth the outside, and a needle tool is great for trimming the top, but don't go buying the ultimate pro kit yet. Spend the money on a bag of good stoneware clay instead.
Spoken like a man who has too many tools he doesn't use.
Guilt is charged. But honestly, the real pro tip for a makerspace potter, it's all about the greenware stage. That's when the piece is formed, but not yet fired. It's incredibly fragile. You can't just shove it aside to make room for a table saw project. One bump, and your week's work is dust. You have to treat it like a sleeping baby.
I'm imagining you trying to be delicate with your giant woodworking hands, Tiger. It's a funny mental image.
It's a struggle. My hands are used to wrestling 4x4 posts. Switching to a delicate T-handle requires a complete personality transplant. But that's the beauty of it. It forces you to slow down. You can't rush the clay. If you try to dry it too fast with a hairdryer, it'll split right down the middle, just to spite you.
It sounds like pottery is the ultimate lesson in patience. In wood, we can use wood filler or a decorative butterfly patch to fix a mistake. In metal, we can grind it down and re-weld. In clay,
If it fails, you just toss it back in the bucket, add some water, and it becomes a ball of mud again. There's something beautiful about that. No waste, just a total reset.
for all your complaining about the mud toddler, you seem pretty attached to that mug.
It's crooked, the glaze is a bit patchy on one side, and the handle fits exactly one of my fingers. But it's mine. I dug this possibility out of a gray lump of dirt.
And that's the heart of it, isn't it? Whether it's sparks, sawdust, or slip. We just want to make something that wasn't there before.
Exactly. So, for everyone out there in the Tiger Den, don't be afraid of the mud. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it might just teach you more about your own patience than any table saw ever could. Give it a shot. Start small, buy a used kiln, and maybe keep a mop handy.
And if you fail, just call it postmodern expressionism and keep going.
Precisely. Until next time, keep your hands dirty and your kiln vented.